For more on today's events in Iran and its continuing defiance on the nuclear issue, we're joined from Washington by Geneva Abdu. She's an Iran specialist with the Century Foundation and the editor of the website InsideIran.org. Thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Thank you, Daljit, for having me on.
Talk to us then about the size and the strength of the opposition movement on the streets of Iran today.
Well, there were, of course, thousands of people on the streets, but I think that it had been expected that this would be somewhat of a defining moment for the opposition, and that really didn't happen. In fact, what we saw, in contrast to that, was we saw millions of people in support of the government who came out into the streets. Now, of course, the reports indicate that they were bussed in by the government, that they were paid to some degree or given incentives to come to this rally. But nonetheless, there were millions of people, which was a bit surprising.
Did the government measure this in terms of it being a success for them?
Absolutely. All the government, the pro-government news agencies today reported that this was a great day for the revolution. It was a great day for the regime. And of course, we saw that President Ahmadinejad was actually boasting about the increase in their uranium enrichment and sort of boasting, well, you see, we have a lot of sort of nuclear firepower behind our government.
And is Ahmadinejad's claim believable?
Well, that's hard to assess. In fact, today there was a report here in the Washington Post indicating that, in fact, Iran has not been as successful as it claims in enriching uranium, and that, in fact, at one of their plants in particular, in Natanz, they've been very unsuccessful. So it's really difficult to know if the rhetoric that we heard today from President Ahmadinejad matches the reality.
So let's just go back very briefly to the opposition movement and what happened on the streets of Iran today. Talk a little bit about the measures that the Iranian government has taken in trying to restrict, for example, the internet, and how that may have affected the ability of the opposition to organize.
Well, in all fairness to the opposition, they faced enormous obstacles, one of which is that this time in particular, the state virtually cut off the internet. Google reported, as of yesterday, in fact, that they saw very little users from Iran. People we were calling from Washington into Iran as far back as last weekend. We couldn't even call people on their cell phones. So, and all of the internet and also Facebook, this is how the opposition communicates with one another inside the country, and of course through their cell phones. So when you cut off that access, it's very difficult to mobilize, tens of thousands of people.
And just very briefly, give us your sense of where the opposition movement is headed. Does it have legs?
It has legs. The problem, though, is that we've reached now a situation where the status quo has become people going out to the streets and demonstrating. And without any progress toward some sort of compromise by the state, I don't know how much excitement and enthusiasm can continue in Iran for an opposition movement that really has no other way to express itself than through street demonstrations.
All right, Geneva Abdu, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.